Hello everyone, Quinn here, and I have a question for you today. Have you ever gone through anything and thought, this is so strange, Lord, why is this happening to me? Well, you're not alone. In fact, I think there's a pretty famous Disney princess who has asked the same question, and that would be Cinderella. So, welcome everybody to my first ever SaltLight Studio Devotional. I've been wanting to make these for some time, but just kept putting it off and didn't get around to it until now. So today is our first day and I'm excited to get things started. So something that I really like to do is to find the spiritual application in books and movies and stories. One of the first stories I studied in college in my literature classes was Cinderella. The first thing I learned about Cinderella is that her name means she of the ashes, and Dr. Victoria Godosic told me that. Hi, Dr. G. As soon as I learned that, I started to make some connections throughout the story. So, you might be surprised to learn that in the original fairy tale of Cinderella, the slippers she gets are made out of gold instead of glass. And this is an interesting point to note because you can find a lot of biblical parallels that involve gold. So as I started studying this story to write an essay over it for one of my classes, I came across this verse in Proverbs. That verse is Proverbs 17:3, which says, "The fining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, but the Lord trieth the hearts." Then all of a sudden, a light bulb went off in my head, and it's like the Holy Spirit gave me an insight into a theme I could run with in this story for my essay. But that theme has gone beyond my essay and helped me with struggles in my personal life too. And so let's dig in a little bit to the story and see how we can kind of apply this theme of being tried in the furnace. So in the story, Cinderella, her everyday wardrobe consists of a gray smock and wooden shoes. So gray is typically the color we associate with ash, and wooden shoes, those are kind of a far cry from gold or glass. But it's significant, I think, in that Cinderella's job given to her by her stepmother was to clean out the fireplace. One of her jobs anyway. And so she slept by the fireplace and she cleaned it out. In the midst of all these chores that she's doing, she's being ill-treated by her stepmother and her stepsisters. We find out what happens next, that Cinderella goes through this for so long. One day, boom, her fairy godmother shows up and gives her the dress and the shoes. But before that, Cinderella is brought to her lowest point. If you've seen this version of the movie, after her stepmother destroys the dress that she'd made to go to the ball, and they leave without her, Cinderella runs out of the house and she just falls down on the ground and starts crying, and she says, "I don't believe anymore." And then all of a sudden, boom, her fairy godmother shows up and gives her this dress and these shoes and this transformation. And so at this point, Cinderella really might have been thinking, "Lord, this is so strange. Why am I having to go through this? I just can't handle this." And that reminded me of another verse in 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 and 13. And that says, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy." So, in a way, what I think was going on in the story was that God was using all these circumstances in Cinderella's life, and she was being tried in a fire she couldn't even see. He was doing that for a very specific reason, the same reason he does it in our lives. But let's keep going in the story, and we'll get to that in a minute. The godmother shows up, and in the original fairy tale, she gives Cinderella shoes made out of pure gold, this beautiful silver and golden dress. And she goes to the ball, of course, and dances with Prince Charming, and hurries away at midnight, but leaves her shoe behind. He eventually finds her, and the shoe fits her perfectly. The golden shoe can only fit her. So she exchanges her old clunky wooden shoes for these precious golden shoes. To me, that represents the trying of our faith in the fire. God refining our faith and purifying it. So instead of this wood, hay, and stubble that's subject to rot and corrosion and decay and all these things, we're given shoes that are incorruptible, that we can never lose, and that fit us alone. There's another verse in 1 Peter. This one is in chapter 1, verse 7. It says, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. So I guess in short, in the end, it wasn't the fancy dress or the shoes or the ball or the dance that solidified Cinderella's character. It was the hardship and the struggle and the ill treatment and the toil that she went through, that God used to refine and purify virtue in her. And the way Cinderella responded to all of the hard things that she went through, she responded out of grace, which only the Holy Spirit allows us to do, and forgiveness. And there's one line in this new movie that I thought was just awesome, and I loved it. It's after the prince has come into their house and Cinderella has tried on the shoe, and they're reunited and they're walking out together, and the stepmother's just standing on the staircase looking on ominously, and Cinderella turns around and looks up at her and says, "I forgive you." And to me, that was just a very powerful, heartwarming moment. We know who the prince can represent, and that is Jesus, of course. The Prince of Peace, the Son of God. He is the one who loves us that much that he will chase after us in the dead of night and search for us until he finds us among everyone else. It is he who tries the shoe upon Cinderella, very fittingly. No pun intended. It's fitting that it's him who tries the shoe on, and the shoe also fits. Anyway, I think it makes sense for the prince to represent Jesus, because he is the one who refines our faith and gives us those rewards. They're special just for us, because he knows us better than anyone could know us. And I think that's what's most beautiful to me about the story, and it encourages me in my daily life, and I hope it encourages you too, that when you go through a situation you think is strange and hard, and it just feels like you're being tried, just remember that if your faith is in Jesus, he wants to try that faith. He wants to purify and refine it. He doesn't want to reduce you to ashes. He wants to bring beauty from your ashes. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who has supported me in the making of these videos. Your encouragement really means a lot. I've enjoyed this so much, and I hope you have too. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day. That was my stomach growling. And oh, there's a lawnmower in the background. Hold on just a second. You can see the Cheshire Cat's tail right here. The Cheshire Cat is holding my phone for me very kindly. And for now, That's a wrap.